Hello and welcome to The Explainer. You know, we all think we know chess. That classic checkered board, the pieces, they're iconic. But what if I told you the real story of where it comes from is this incredible saga of ancient empires, forgotten names, and a journey across the globe that's way more interesting than any of the myths you've heard?
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at why we humans are just obsessed with board games. Then we're going to crack the case of where chess really started. From there, we'll follow its amazing journey through Persia and the Arab world, and finally, we'll see how it morphed into the exact game that we all play today.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, to really get chess, you have to understand it didn't just pop into existence. It grew out of this fundamental, very human need for strategy, for competition, for play.
Let's just get right to the big question. If I asked you right now, where was chess invented? What would you say? Persia? Maybe ancient Greece? China? I'm willing to bet the real answer is going to surprise you.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It's staggering, really. Long before chess was even a thought, we were hooked on games played on grids. Think about it. Over 4,500 years ago, the Egyptians were playing Senet. They even found a version in King Tut's tomb. And then you have drafts, the royal game of Go. You see, chess wasn't a beginning. It was the heir to this incredibly ancient tradition.
And of course, with any great invention, you get some great myths. People have tried to pin the invention of chess on everyone from wise prophets to Greek gods. There's this one popular story that it was created just to cheer up a grieving Persian king. But here's the thing. The historical evidence? It doesn't back up a single one of these. Nope. The real answer lies somewhere else entirely.
Okay, so this brings us to where the real evidence starts. We're leaving all that myth and legend behind, and we're digging into the history to find the true birthplace of chess.
And here it is. The true ancestor of modern chess is a game called Chaturanga. It first showed up in the Gupta Empire in India way back around the 4th century. The name itself is the biggest clue. It's from the Sanskrit words chatur, meaning four, and anga, meaning limbs or wings. It literally meant the four-winged game. And what were those four rings? They were the four pillars of the Indian army: your infantry, your cavalry, your elephants, and your powerful chariots. This wasn't just a game. It was a full-on war simulation on a board.
And, we don't even have to guess. Listen to this brilliant quote from Al-Yaqubi, a famous Arab historian from the 9th century. He explicitly names chess as one of the three great virtues of India, right up there with the famous Book of Fables and their revolutionary number system. It's pretty much a historical smoking gun.
So we've established it. The game was born in India. But how did it take over the world? This brilliant idea was about to start one of the most epic journeys in cultural history.
Okay, so let's trace the path. Around the 6th century, the game travels from India to Persia. There, its name shifts a little to Shatranj, and it becomes this incredibly prestigious gift. Get this. One Indian king reportedly gave the Persian king, Khosrow I, a chess set made entirely of ruby and emerald. From Persia, it then spread throughout the booming Arab world, and eventually it found its way into Europe through Andalusia, which we now know as Spain.
And we have to stop here for a second, because this next step was absolutely vital. The game's time in the Arab world during its golden age, this was not just some layover. This was the critical bridge where Shatranj wasn't just saved, it was elevated into a true art form and a science.
It was during this period that you see this explosion of chess innovation. Scholars wrote the very first books on chess strategy. They created the first chess puzzles, called Mensubat, specifically to train the mind. They even developed the first studies of opening moves, which they called tabiya. These weren't just players. They were the world's first true chess theorists.
And check this out. They literally invented the world's first player rating system. This is centuries before FIDE ratings. You had the Aliyat, who were basically the Grandmasters of their time, playing in the Caliph's court. Then you had the Mutakaribat, the contenders. The other classes were all based on what kind of handicap, or odds, a top player would have to give them to make the game fair. It's just an unbelievably sophisticated and organized way to think about player skill, more than 1,000 years ago. All right, now for the final act in our story. The game has journeyed across continents. It's been studied by geniuses.
but the pieces themselves were about to get one last, huge upgrade to become the game we all recognize today.
So the biggest changes really came down to two things: speed and power. In the older game, the piece that we know as the queen was called a furs, or an advisor, and it was weak. It could only move one single square diagonally. The bishop started its life as a fill, an elephant that could only jump 2 squares. But when the rules changed in 15th century Europe, the game got supercharged. The queen was transformed into the most powerful piece on the entire board. The bishop got its long-range diagonal attack, and just like that, modern dynamic chess was born.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. Every single time you sit down to play a game of chess, you're not just playing a game. You are taking part in a 1,500-year-old tradition. You are reenacting a war game that was invented in ancient India, you're using strategies developed during the Islamic Golden Age, and you're commanding pieces with powers that were supercharged in Renaissance Europe. It's all there, in every single move.
And that leaves us with one final fascinating thought. Chess has never, ever stopped evolving. From chaturanga to shotranj to the modern game, and even to new variants we see today like Fischer random, it is constantly being reinvented. It just makes you wonder, after 1,500 years of change, what's the next evolution of chess going to look like? Thanks for joining the Explainer.